Good morning. I'm Beth Berry. I'm Vice President of Business Development for Real Green Software. Today is a huge treat. My friend Jim Lemcke, who is CEO of Weedman, has taken time out of her incredibly busy schedule to broadcast live. I'm in Indianapolis today. Where are you at?
In Orono, Ontario, just outside of Toronto, little suburb.
When I talked to Kyle Tobin, he said the best thing that's happened is there's no traffic and they can get routes done very, very quickly.
Yes, very true. But although the traffic is starting up as we kind of ease the lockdown currently in the Toronto area, Toronto proper is still under the phase one. They're calling it stage one of the lockdown, but the outer areas now are moving into stage two and stage three. So we're being allowed to leave our homes now.
That's good. So leave your home. Can you eat on a patio outside?
Not yet. This weekend in our area, we'll be able to eat on a patio. Of course, the social distancing, but they're just opening up the patios this weekend in Toronto.
And was there any interruption to lawn care in Canada?
There was. We were in Ontario, Quebec, and PEI, Nova Scotia were on lockdown. We weren't able to work. And slowly things started to change. There's different angles. The industry was really quite great at helping advocate on our behalf. Different angles, different provinces took different angles, just like the states did in the US. But it was definitely a state by state thing, province by province thing that we were dealing with.
What was the maximum shutdown in Canada?
I'd say probably Quebec was the worst. They had about a month and a half shutdown. Here, it was really kind of interpretation of what the legislation or the rules were saying. So at first, the great thing about it in Canada, the industry really came together, meaning the lawn care segment. We were on the phone a lot. Well, Chris was with Kyle and Dawson from True Green. So we were kind of looking at things, figuring out. So the initial iteration, we felt that we were good to go, we could work. And then they clawed that back about 2 weeks in. So we stopped working, and then people started poking at it, calling different agencies, and they started saying, no, I think you can work. And then it just became area by area, bylaw officer by bylaw officer. So we were just very communicating daily with the industry and saying, okay, we're good to go here. This place we're not. Who knows somebody on city council? So it kind of felt back to the pesticide battle days where everybody was pulling together and figuring things out. So that was good.
That's very good. And what's consumer sentiment been during this time? Like when you were shut down, were you still getting calls saying, come out and treat us?
Oh, more than ever. It was crazy. Our inbound flow, both in Canada and the US, was crazy. So, people that know Weedman or are intimately involved with Weedman, we do, by and large, our customer acquisition through door knocking. Well, that was shut down. So, and that accounts for almost 50% of our new customers. So that's a huge deficit to try to overcome. But our inbound flow, so we're already surpassed last year's sales in the US and are very close to that in Canada. We're looking to have, another growth year, and it just came from different places. We're really working our referrals, our inbound, our pay-per-click stuff really took off. We did some direct mail that was incredibly great results. And I think it's because people are home. And, they're working from home and on the internet looking for things. So we found, a lot of traffic to our website. We just rolled out a new website. So that was exciting. And looking at customer behavior, and especially during these times, and, we know between 10 and 2, that's when the most traffic comes into the website and people are looking for lawn care while they're working. So it's been interesting, different, but very interesting, and we are so very blessed that we were able to keep working.
And was there a short period of time when maybe you weren't sure that was going to be the case? Because I know I wasn't sure that was going to be the case.
Oh, in mid-March, if you had asked me what was going on, it's hard. Here I am, Beth, that my dad retired at the end of last year. So here I was, supposed to be taking over the company, and And like, what do you do? How do you lead a company when you're not sure yourself? So it's been wonderful. A lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of time communicating with the franchisees. We started off, especially during those times, weekly, making sure, well, at times it was daily, and then we went more to a weekly call, and now we've kept on to these calls, and we're going to every 2 weeks, meeting with the franchisees and talking with them and making sure that we stay on point. The biggest fear is that it comes back in the fall, and if we do end up having a lockdown, if there's changes in government, what will that look like? So we need to make sure we stay focused on getting the work done this year, getting production done. As you know, the lawn care industry, our segment, we have a lot of our customers that prepay for our services. So when you're sitting in March and you've got a ton of prepaids on the books and you're not sure if you're going to be able to work, it's not a really good place to be in the lawn care segment. So it was really scary, and there was a lot of sleepless nights, but I think communication was key to kind of stay on target for us.
Larry Ryan said that the only problem they were having at Ryan Lawn and Tree is that there were so many people home, and they came up with pretty clear direction on service delivery best practices, but customers want to come out and talk to you. You're the only person that's allowed to be there, and they want to spend time on the lawn. So it was terrific from that standpoint. Have you resumed door-to-door yet?
No, I don't think we will. We went to a no-touch policy, which was one of, parts of Weedman had already done this, where we were paperless, and now our recommendation. So all of the franchisees that hadn't gone paperless, we really worked on, making sure that the systems were in place. And so we've gone paperless everywhere we can, and made sure that, consumers, so if we were supposed to knock before a service, we just called them from the truck, letting them know. But you're absolutely right. The customers are like, somebody's here. And they come out, and it was kind of funny because, my 3 kids are in the business, and the boys were working as technicians, and they said it's unreal, and people want to give you things and water, and just because they're just so happy to see people out on the lawn. So that was kind of fun, and just getting to visit with the customers. So I think that's why the inbound has been so good, because you're able to talk to the customer, and they're like, hey, my neighbor and I were talking last weekend, I referred them, and so you're getting some referral business that way.
Oh yeah. So I saw the True Green truck like maybe the 3rd week of March, and I was filming him from a distance, but then he notices me filming him. So, he's ready to call his boss. He thinks something wrong. I go, no, I'm just so excited, and I want to share this with my work friends. So glad you're here. He just kind of gave me a weird look, but yeah.
There's that, you have a little mark on your account now. There's that crazy lady.
It's the crazy lady that's filming me. I don't understand why. So 2 really cool, innovative techniques that have arisen from this that I've heard about the last couple of weeks. One is called a knock and walk. So my friend Kyle Flanagan had a Scott's franchise, had a True Green franchise. He's in Augusta, Georgia. And they were building their business on door-to-door. And he said they shifted to the knock and walk. So they knock, and they do leave a bag on the door with an estimate. And he has sales folks dressed in technician uniforms in trucks that are decaled. And it says, I'm in the neighborhood taking care of lawns today, and I'd love to take care of yours too. Along the same vein of they are home, and it's difficult to get a lot of home contractors out right now. I'm trying to get a patio put in. Very difficult to get people to call you back. And so he says they've really been able to capitalize on, they don't want to do traditional door-to-door and have a conversation on a doorstep, but they do a knock and walk. And then if the customer does open the door, they stay like halfway between the truck. But I liked that idea. And then Brad Leahy was telling me about virtual service visits. So instead of a customer actually walking the property with you, which I don't know how many would do that anyway, I think by our tracking, only about 18% of consumers were home or came outside. They're videotaping the visit out there. And I wanted to point out an area that saw grubworm damage last year, and then they are sending in a text message that video, and they're getting a lot of engagement on that too. I thought that was cool. Any
Yeah.
ahas from the Weedman brand that's working well from a best practice?
You know, for us was really, going completely paperless and then moving our workforce to be able to work from home. So we moved, back in March, quickly, put a tremendous amount of pressure on our servers. You can imagine, over 300 franchises all of a sudden now want to do all of their sales from home, and their admins work from home. So there was a bit of an adjustment there technology wise, but we had some franchisees that had already blazed the way on that. So it's just replicating that across the board. So I think that was one of the things that was great for us, is that we're going to be able to open up more hiring for the salespeople because they're all working remotely now. We don't have a traditional sales room where people are sitting in a sales room. They're all working from home, dialing into servers through Zoom, training and whatnot. So I think by and large, that's going to help attract more people, because your reach, you can hire all over the world now if you want to. And then certainly the admin, the inbound, which, traditionally we would have large people taking inbound calls depending on the size of the franchisee, but working from home now was kind of a no-brainer, rerouting the calls and the queues and the VoIP phones and whatnot. So for me, I don't know if the traditional sales room or traditional office will still be around in the future. I think that's going to look different. As far as the technicians, things are pretty much as usual, except for the paperless and whatnot, because they always worked alone in a truck. Mainly what we saw, the biggest difference was in our training. It became more difficult to train, to try and keep that one person. So you kind of had this parade of trucks going out to a lawn, and, 3 technicians being trained at a distance on the lawn. So that was a little bit challenging, I would say, to now where they've had retrofitted dividers brought into the truck and masks and whatnot. So that is probably the biggest part in our technical department. And adjusting hours, split shifts, staggering work hours. I think that's pretty much the norm in our industry. So yeah.
We have learned, we had to quickly shift about 3,000 companies in about 10 days that said, hey, we want to work from home. We don't want to use VPN, and we don't want to use any of this. So yeah, we spent a month doing that, but we're finding exactly what you said. Not everybody's rushing back to the office. I'd hate to be in commercial real estate right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be very difficult.
And do you think, you said you'll have a bigger pool of candidates. Are you seeing that you're able to upgrade candidates across US and Canada because of unemployment?
Yeah, I would say, and that's more anecdotal. I haven't looked at the numbers yet to see, for us, you kind of look at where there's gaps and identify why the gaps are there. So haven't done a full analysis of the season yet, which I'm excited to do, to see some findings from that. But we found that in the past, the franchisees that did go virtual and were allowing people to call from home, it opens up areas of Canada and the US that, people that are living out in the country that would love to get a secondary job, or, young adults that would love to work but can't and make good money doing it. So, we knew that was going to be a byproduct. Now, I think people are either they may be afraid of losing their job in the near future. So some people are getting secondary jobs. So typically in an economic downturn, that's where we get our best employees, and we often see our best growth in this segment of the industry. So I'm excited to see what that brings. Certainly we're seeing it in our closing rates right now. So I think it's a better candidate pool that we're pulling from. So yeah, it'll be interesting to connect with the franchisees at that level. Normally we do that through summer meetings, and we kind of debrief on the season and get feet to the ground. But this year our summer meetings are going to look very different. They're going to look very similar to this, over Zoom, and try to be innovative to keep people. And then we're looking down the pipe on our annual conference, what that's going to look like. A little bit afraid of that. That's in December. So just kind of looking ahead and seeing how we're going to do some of these face-to-face visits through utilizing this technology, Zoom.
Well, we were able to provide the accountability tools and benchmarking for all of these work from home people that we weren't sure we could do in the past. Now that's proven, and we're seeing higher close rates, better sales. And what I don't know is, do we have folks who are just more productive in a work from home environment, or is it because there's nothing else to do? There's very few distractions.
Very, very true. Very true. As things open up. Well, of course, you guys in the US are pretty opened up. You know, it maybe not be quite business as usual, but you're probably almost there. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's more a product of we want to see commerce back, because if you look at the numbers, I'm not sure it would suggest that we should be full steam ahead. Are you seeing differences in lawn care consumers in Canada and US, or their receptivity?
No, I think it's the same. You know, I think I don't see a difference at all. Just that our inbound sales equally in the US and in Canada are at an all-time high. Our mailers are doing better, our response rates are better, our response rates over the phone are better, so our contact rates are higher, our closing rates are higher. So we're just seeing a lift everywhere in all these different categories as we look at marketing to these different segments. You know, Facebook advertising is taking off for us, not something that we really did in the past. So again, just looking at things differently, where our big pillar is gone for this season. And now, you know, probably over the next 6 months, we need to strategize. Will that pillar come back next year? Will this look the same next year? So, you know, and that space is very busy right now, the online space. You got all the big competitors that are out there fighting. You know, we're not the only ones doing this. Everyone out there is doing this. So that's going to drive up costs. So it'll be tougher to budget in that space next year and what that's going to look like. I think costs are going to go up for any type of online advertising. So, you know, I wish I had a crystal ball with all of this. And I think for the first time in a very long time, our marketing efforts aren't going to be, you know, clear cut as they were in the past. We knew if we knocked on X amount of doors, X amount of people would answer. We get X amount of yeses from that, and then we'd be able to close X or Y, you know. So now it looks different. The inbound environment, I think one of the toughest things are going to be to staff it. You know, we're a lumpy industry, we're seasonal. So how do you staff something when you don't know if the wave's going to be there? Normally on the outbound, we controlled the narrative on our marketing season, and then flow right through into production. When we're doing outbound type marketing, it's very systematic. So we go from area to area to area. So our routes for our technicians are very tight. Now you've got inbound coming and they're all over. And if we're trying to get to our customers as quickly as possible for those new sales, you've got production running around a lot more than they ever have. So, you know, you got to take that into account. We pay by production, and that's something that we're going to have to look really hard at to see, did it make sense this season? Do we need to top up a little bit on the technical side to make this feasible for a career for them? So just little nuances, you know, as things change, it has a ripple effect on your entire business, and it's adjusting to that. And then from that, helping our franchisees take this and apply it to their own businesses.
I was at the Workforce Summit in March that NALP sponsored, and Frank Mariani was speaking about autonomous mowing. And one of the benefits was because there wasn't enough workforce, obviously, but he also noted that there were a fair amount of commercial properties that just didn't want the additional workers on site. And so he found that to be a tremendous opportunity for autonomous mowing. And now you can see we're going into the future that could even be more valuable. How's your autonomous mowing business going?
Yeah, we're still in testing mode. It's going very well. I think you're right. People are home and the referrals are up in that business. You know, of course, we have a captive audience. We're already servicing over 500,000 consumers across North America. So that helps us have a very captive audience to market to. So we're, we're testing that under the TurfBot brand. We've got 3 markets. We've got Toronto, Atlanta, and Madison. They're doing well. And for us now, next step is to make sure that franchisees can make money, and then look to franchise that concept. So we're still moving ahead, not as fast as we would have liked. We thought by June we would have a clear path to 2021 and we'd be franchising and getting all of our contracts ready to go. We've put the brakes on a little bit with all of this. For us, we needed to stay focused on our Weedman franchisees and make sure that everything is good for them. And now we feel we're in a very good position, and we've done some concessions to help those franchisees make sure they can get the work done in a timely fashion. And now it's time to continue looking at our TurfBot opportunity. But there's no doubt that robotic mowing will be part of the future in our industry. Technology is catching up and it's evolving very, very fast. So I think that's just creates more and more opportunity for our industry. So exciting times.
It is exciting times. The most compelling value proposition, I thought that day when Frank was talking, is that you could sell it to an entire neighborhood or HOA and say, what if everyone in your neighborhood had their lawn mowed between 8 and noon on Thursday morning, so you didn't have the constant hum of mowers throughout the weekend. And since he has said that, of course, it's summertime, and that's all you hear is it seems like somebody's mowing one after another after another. I thought that was a very creative use of that.
Yeah, I know for sure. I think in the South, it's a no-brainer. I think, in Canada, it's a little bit tougher. The Canadian marketplace, we don't hire, by and large, we don't hire people to cut our grass. We do lawn care, but not cutting our grass. So not only are you trying to market a new way of doing things, it's a really new way. You got a robot out on the lawn. The other challenges we have in Canada, especially in the Toronto marketplace, wouldn't be for all of Canada, is we have very small lawns. And it's hard right now to go to a front yard to a backyard when you can barely fit. The gate is so small and the lots are so small in the Toronto area. As you move out to the suburbs, it's better and better. But Canada is going to be a challenge. And on top of it, it's only really 6-7 months of the year, where in the South or in the transitional markets, you have, 10 to 12 months a year. So it makes sense. And certainly for these HOAs, as you mentioned, for them, it's going to be a no-brainer. The noise that, I know I spent a lot of time in Florida in the wintertime, and when it's your mow day, there's no way you can sit out in the lanai because the noise, it's like, a crew lands on your property and the noise level is so high. So I think this is going to help in that regards. It's environmentally friendly, less need for staff, and it's a good story. It's a cool story, right? It's cool to have a robot mowing your lawn,
just like the Roombas that's sweeping the house right now.
Love my Roomba.
So you mentioned events, and your event is in December, your annual conference. Do you think Green Industry Expo will draw a lot of attendees and will happen in October?
Well, if last I heard, it's happening. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have no idea what that's going to look like. I know that next week I'm going to start negotiating with our hotel for December. I think events, people are going to have to be very innovative on, adhering to social distancing, especially if another wave comes back. They're saying October, November. And a lot of these viruses, that's what happens. You got the initial, unless we have a vaccine, which, who knows, but I don't think it's going to happen by the fall. So I don't know. And there's hosting the event, but then there's getting over the fear to travel to the event. A lot of people aren't going to want to fly. They're just not going to want to fly. So, I think maybe we need to look at, there'll be a certain segment that'll fly, that'll want to be there, but you're seeing more and more virtual. So potentially people will pay a lesser fee and be able to join virtually, or maybe it's more because they're saving on travel, who knows? But I think you need to look at all kinds of different technology to do this. And then from that, you're seeing more and more virtual trade shows. So that may be something that they're going to have to explore, have, you know, face-to-face and virtual. I just don't know what this is going to look like. I really don't.
Our CEO, Bill Noonan, said, I don't think people will travel. And I said, oh, you don't know this industry. They will go to Louisville, they will go to 4th Street Live, and they'll be hugging each other. That's my opinion. But I don't know. As a company, we're thinking long and hard before we deploy anyone this fall or this winter, that's for sure. I've got one last topic, and then I'm going to let you get back to your day. I really appreciate the fact that you participate in Women in Landscape Network for NALP. I was reading about a book this weekend that I just ordered, and this guy interviewed 500 superstars, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, and he talked about their the top 8 characteristics that made them successful. And you came to mind. One of the top 8 was they say no more than they say yes, and they know how to focus. And if you said yes to everything that you were asked to do, you wouldn't get anything done. And thank you again for saying yes today. But I know that you value the opportunity to assist women in landscape. What do you think can be done, especially in this weird COVID year, because we were kind of off to a broad start? And how can folks get involved, females get involved in the landscape industry?
Yeah, great question. I kind of, you know, I thought about that question, Beth. I think in the next 1, maybe 2 years, I think we need to stay focused on communicating and the value, and keep doing things to help support each other in the industry, and help people, show them the way. You know, oftentimes women enter into a new company, and if there's not women ahead of them, they kind of sit back and go, well, there's nobody that's really done it before. Why am I different? Why can I make it happen? So I really feel that we got to make sure that we empower women to know that there are other people in the industry. You may not see us because there might be one of us at a meeting of 20, but we are there, and we need to get the word out that we're there and what we're doing, and show people the impact of what we're doing. I think though, in maybe at the end of year 2 into 3 and 4, if this is going to stick, we need to start looking at all aspects of you know, our association, and making sure that we've got women leading committees. Not, you know, and staff is incredible, believe me, they're incredible, but I think people from the industry need to be leading some of these committees, women. You know, I looked at the board, there's 1 woman on our board right now at NALP. And I don't know on other associations, but I would imagine that it's probably the same breakdown across our industry. I know it was when I was on the board. I was the only woman on the board at the time. So I think that we need to get more women in leadership roles so other women can see them and follow. So I know Lisa Fiora, who's an amazing woman and a leader in our industry, is on the board right now. We need to get more people, and we need to do it on purpose. We can't just let it happen. So, you know, which creates challenges. A lot of women can't travel as much. It's a reality. We have kids, and you know, we need to be there for the kids, and so do dads. But, you know, for us to be able to participate, it might look a little different. So I think we need to look at that. And then we start to need to look, you know, there's wonderful awards, and I was so lucky and blessed to get the Women Entrepreneur of the Year, but I'd like to see women getting the Entrepreneur of the Year, not just the Women Entrepreneur, you know, and see more and more of the awards going out to women across the industry. So I think once we start to see that, that's when we know we've been able to achieve our goal. So for now, it's just communicate, educate, support people around, continue to network. And I know we're meeting tomorrow, I think, right? Tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to talk about our events, Zoom meetings. I think it's important, and as a committee, we don't want it to be just women. We want to see we want men to be there. We want men to see what we're working on, just to see that this is not, we don't want to be part of the industry or hired by someone in the industry because we're a woman. We want to be seen as the best person for the job. And that's an important thing to remember with any kind of diversity. We want to hire the best person for the job. And that's where I think the industry can't look at our network as being a all-encompassing and we're closed. I really don't want that to happen. I want people to see, be part, participate, see what we're up to, and then let us become part of the solution, not just a segment of our industry. So.
I heard you say that at the Marty Grunder event. I've always loved you, but I loved you more on that day when you said, I don't think someone should get the job because they're a woman. You always select the best person. And I followed up the next week in a similar conversation, and I said, if your child had cancer and you needed an oncologist, you wouldn't be sorting by gender or race.
No.
You'd say, I want the best oncologist I can get.
That's right.
I think having said that, then it's up to us to be leaders and find opportunities and encourage those to stand up, because I was given a lot of opportunities and a lot of prodding, or I would have never traversed my way through big companies. But I, for one, appreciate everything you're doing. I know it's a tremendous sacrifice for you to spend time doing this away from Weedman. Not that you guys have anything going on there. So thank you for participating in Women in Landscape Networking. And if anybody is interested in learning more about that, my email is bberry@realgreen.com. I'll connect you with Jen Myers and all the folks at NALP. What have you and the kids been up to? Are you got anything fun planned for the summer?
No, not really. It's funny, Chris and I were looking at, what are we going to do for holidays? We were supposed to go to Portugal in September, and that's not going to happen. So we got to figure out some holiday time and figure some stuff out. It will absolutely be with golfing. We will be golfing. The whole family golfs. So it's nice for us to get out on the golf course and try to golf. I'm going to use that word because we all have our challenges on the golf course. Hey, I just want to say one thing before I know we're going to sign off here. I had the pleasure of connecting with Cindy Code on Friday, and I heard that you've joined the board.
I have.
And she said, well, I knew Beth was on the board. She is an amazing influence on our board and is doing such a great job. She's such a doer, and she's got so much energy. So congrats to you for joining that board. I'm really, really excited for you guys in that organization and all the great things that you do.
I'm sure she shared with you the project Evergreen is shifting to aiding frontline responders.
Yes.
So when Michigan was in the state it was in, we call it Little Quebec, no offense, and we were shut down, we had nurses calling Michigan Nursery and Landscape saying, can you send someone out undercover in a white truck because I'm working 12 hours a day and I can't cut my grass and they won't let anyone come out. And I think, is it Steve that runs
Steve Russell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Russell was a tremendous help as we move forward there. So
yeah, he is so wonderful. Yeah, 35 Weedman franchises are currently offering service to frontline workers, and we're trying to get more matches. So we're so excited about this program and support it wholeheartedly. I mean, there's no words to describe what these frontline workers have done for the country, and it's a little token of appreciation that we can give back. So that's wonderful.
As you know, my middle son's a firefighter, and
I do.
Even the little things like free Starbucks or little trinkets at gas stations, it is appreciated.
It is, yeah, no, and well deserved. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, air hug to you.
Air hug.
Just yesterday, we were planning really fun things for this year.
We were. And maybe it's deferred a few months, but we will do that.
We will do that. All right. Thank you, Jen, so much for your time. I look forward to spending time with you tomorrow with the women.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks so much. Take care, Beth.
Bye-bye.
Bye.